Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today we're going to move to the next section of my Beginning Gardener series. We're going to talk about site selection. Now I'll link a playlist above that contains all the videos in this series, but it is basically a series for beginning gardeners, and I'm hoping even some expert gardeners will gain something from this. So we've talked about why we want to garden, we've talked about what plants to choose, and now we're going to talk about site selection. And today I wanted to talk about a few different things, and I'm going to be separating up this section into several different videos. So today I wanted to talk about climate, and then the next one will be about sun, wind, and rain exposure. So exposure basically will be the next video. Now, when I talk about climate, there are so many different things to think about. Let's go into my computer and I'm going to show you a few different things that you can look at to help determine the climate of your property. Now, when most people think about climate, they think about this. They think about the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map. And I'll put a link down below where you can find this. And basically, what it tells you is if you put in your zip code up here, it will tell you what your hardiness zone is. When you scroll in closer to your area, you can see the color that matches. Now this says that we're zone 7A. Now a lot of people just are done right there. They look at it and say zone 7A, so they go out and buy zone 7A plants, and then they wonder why sometimes in the winter they die of cold. Now this map has been updated. I think it takes into account 20 years of the lowest of the lows. And right here you can see how low. So zone 7A, the coldest it's supposed to get is 0 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I can tell you, since I've lived here in Utah, I've actually seen it get -10. I think may have been once when it got -15, and I've been here 15 years. So you can't completely depend on this hardiness zone map. Now this is the USDA one. You can go in and you can actually pull up your state. Just click on your, where you live, and it'll pull on your state zone hardiness map, and that'll tell you a little bit more. I haven't found a way to zoom it in yet though, so it is a little difficult to read. But I know that there might be hardiness zone maps that are made by your extension agent that are a little more accurate for your area. For example, Utah State University, and I will put a link down at the bottom, created a zone map, and it calculates that, and it's calculated the lowest temperatures between 1990 and 2019. So if you just click down in your state, I did Utah, scroll all the way down, to wherever your county is. This is the county. So I live in Utah County in Pleasant Grove. This is the number of feet in elevation that we are. So this is the average lowest temperature. This is the lowest that was recorded, and that I was there that time. I told you it was about -15, so it was actually -14 degrees. And it gives you the minimum, the maximum and the minimum zones that you are. So we're a maximum of a zone 7A and a minimum of a zone 5B. So this is a lot more detailed, and this is the number of years they've kept records and the number of years that they're accounting for in this map. So maybe your state, like Utah, may have a more accurate hardiness zone map. And so what does it mean if it's between 5A and 7B? What it's meant to me is if I plant plants that are only hardy to zone 7 or 6, that I know that I'll either need to protect, keep an eye on the weather, and maybe I'll need to protect them, or maybe I'll need to make sure my most expensive plants, like my larger trees that are too hard to protect, that they are rated for the lowest zone that we could possibly be. Now, if you don't have a state zone map that's as accurate as this one, then you can go and talk to your nurseries. Talk to your neighbors, talk to people who know about growing in your area, and see if the USDA hardiness zone map is good for your area. Now there are other things that you can look at. For example, there's the Sunset Western Climate Zones map. Now this is only for the western states. We've got Nevada, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Washington, Western Oregon, California, different areas in California. So these areas are covered by the Sunset Climate Zone maps. So the information that they take into account is the length of the growing season, the timing and amount of rainfall, winter lows, summer highs, wind and humidity, along with the lowest temperatures. So let's click on this one. I think in Utah, where I am, is a zone 2B. So it's called the warm summer, which we have warm summers, intermountain climate. And when you read through this talks a lot about the different climate that it has. The way that you can use this, because on the plant tags will not tell you that it's a zone 2B. You can look at this area, you can see what the average temperatures are, how many days are warmer than other, how many days you have of warm days, and look at the rainfall of that area. But you can also get this information by talking to your local nursery or local people who know the area. Now, another thing that you need to take into account is how many days above 86 degrees do you have? Because most plants grow really well in that temperature that's 86 degrees, around that area. So if you live in an area that has cooler summers and you don't get very many days that are above 86 degrees, then there are certain plants that are not going to do as well. For example, maybe eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. Or maybe you'll need to use some heat extending things like greenhouses. So if you scroll into this map and look at Utah, I'm in this little area right here. So I'm between maybe a 5 and a 7. So let's say we're a heat zone 6. That means we have 45 to 60 days above 86 degrees, which means we have about 3 months of warm weather, which is plenty of time to be able to grow tomatoes. So this is another area that you can look and check out your climate. So you need to take into consideration the coldest it will get, because there are plants that will die below a certain temperature. So then you need to also look at how hot it will get and how many days that you have that are above that 86 degrees. So how many warm days do you have to grow plants? So if you look at all of those different things, then you can start to get a little bit of an idea of what type of plants you can grow on your property. Now, a couple of other things you need to think about when it comes to climate is the humidity and the amount of rainfall you get. For example, here in Utah, we have very low humidity, and what that means is that we very rarely get some of the fungal diseases that other more humid climates get. For example, I know it's not a garden vegetable, but peach trees. When I lived in Southern California, peach tree leaf curl was a fungus that was a huge issue. I've only seen once or twice that we've had peach tree leaf curl here in Utah. Our tomato viruses and fungal issues are a lot different than they would be in the south where it's really humid. Another thing you need to think about is rainfall. How much rainfall do you get? Now, rainfall is going to affect a number of different things. Number one, it's going to affect how often you need to irrigate, and if you even need to set up an irrigation system at all. For example, maybe in Oregon, I haven't lived in Oregon, so I don't know, maybe you don't need to worry about irrigation as much as we do here in Utah, where we get very, very little rainfall. Another thing that it'll affect is rainfall can have an effect on how long your nitrogen stays in the soil. You may need to use more fertilizer. One way to be able to know if you need more fertilizer is to do a soil test, and we're going to be doing that in another video, and I'll show you how to do it and where to send it, and we'll test my soil and see how it looks. So definitely, before you go out and start purchasing your garden plants, and before you start putting a garden onto your property, you need to understand what goes into site selection. So today was the first thing that we were going to discuss, and that was climate. So you need to understand your climate. Then in the next video, we're going to talk about exposure. We're going to talk about sun exposure, wind exposure, and rain exposure. And those are very, very important things when choosing where to site your gardens. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. And if I've left anything out, or if you have anything else to add about climate and site selection for your garden beds, please let me know in the comments down below. I also hope you like and subscribe and share this video with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.